Yes, hi. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Okay, welcome all of you to this CCIE EI version 1.1 introductory session by Nitiz Sharma Global Tech. So let me share my screen first and just confirm if you can see that. Yes, visible. So the agenda for today's session is going to be about this one, right? So first we'll discuss that what we should be having, the kind of knowledge if you want to start the CCIE EI journey, first thing. Then we'll compare this CCI content with its predecessor. We had earlier, before 2020, we had CCI routing and switching, if you remember that, or if maybe you have prepared for that. Then we'll see the modules which are there and the content which is there, and I'll somehow little bit I'll do the comparison. Earlier we had version 1.0, now we have version 1.1, so some things have changed for good, right? We'll talk about that also. And then about this mighty lab that we are having, so what are some criterias about that, we'll see. And what about the passing scores, what about like what we need to take care of, and what are some of the things that we need to remember before exam, during exam, etc, etc, right? And what are the new things which are covered by CCI AI, which were not there earlier, and how they have organized, managed this content throughout their different CCI EI tracks. So one, we have the CCI EI wired networking. So typically this is enterprise, which we earlier have known by the name of routing and switching, right? And then I'll share some of my experience and we'll talk a little bit about that, because see, this last section is about when you start preparing for the technology classes. Then in between you have some mentorship sessions and all, and then we are good to go with, okay, now we are near to the end of the technology sessions. Then we are exactly starting to prepare for the lab, and then what need to be taken care of. So those so this is some of the part that I'm going to touch today. Any questions so far? All right. So the very first thing, so people in our batches are like normally from different backgrounds. So some of you may be working for a long time in the industry, but you never got the time to, get your CCI. Some maybe they have just, started their careers and after CCNA, CCNP. So we take everybody together, on the same dock and we sail together. So what I generally do when I teach, so I start from, the beginning lecture, the very first one. I start talking about the very, layman things from scratch, and then later on with the, following lectures, we build up the pace and we start talking about, the advanced technologies and all. So this is how I usually go with the technology classes. But yes, from your side, what I expect at least a good understanding of CCNA level networking things, like what should I say, TCP IP, subnetting, things like that, right? So that is only, so you need not be fully fledged CCNP certified and all to start this CCI journey. No, but yes, if you are thinking that the journey is going to be of the same effort for you, if you are not CCNP and people who are CCNP, so yes, your hard work, your time consumption is going to be more than those guys. So yes, that is true, but it's not like you cannot do, right? Make sense? All right. From last some time, when they have revamped, Cisco has changed, evolutionized their certification tracks. Earlier, they had, if you remember, just one certification for, how should I say, not one certification for each track, I should say. Your routing and switching was one exam, your wireless was one exam, your security, your data center, your service provider. So everything was, so first you will start with your routing and switching, and then you needed to go for your other exams, right? Then at the same time, at the professional level also, CCNP, CCIU had the complementing professional and the expert exam. But now from last 4 5 years, they have changed it. You are well aware of that, I guess, right? So now we have one CCNA exam only and five different professional and expert level complementing exam. So how is that? So if you need to get into networking, you get your CCNA. Okay. Then maybe let's say you are working in some organization and they are working in some security part. They are, you are working in one organization which are mainly dealing with security, DMVPN configurations and all. So they'll ask you, okay, you go ahead and do your CCNP core certifications or read about everything like related to DMVPN. So that's where they have, broken down CCNP into two part. So if I can find my pen, just a second. Yeah. So CCNP one, exam. So let's say I started talking about security. So one will be your core exam, right? And then one will be your concentration exam. So how they have managed it like this or why they have given it like this? Because see, when you'll start talking about CCI, then again earlier if you remember there was this written exam, right? And then once you clear that, you are eligible for your lab exam. So this is how it used to be like earlier. But then what they did, okay, people who are actually working in the industry, they have, vast experience. So it was like this thing was one burden for them. So it was like they were having two different or they needed to have two different certifications. So they had their CCNP. Then to go for CCI, they again needed to clear this exam. So this was not a justice. Cisco felt that okay, especially for people who are working and all, then let's why not leverage their earlier certification that they have. So if you have your CCNP core exam cleared, for example, if you are doing CCIE EI in enterprise, then if you have your CCNP and core exam cleared, then it act as the written exam for CCI. So you are then eligible to go for your CCI lab exam. Am I making sense? Any questions so far? Okay. So this is one thing about the lab structure or the exam structure of CCI. So first, your CCNP professional certification will be acting as your, written, and then only you'll be preparing for the CCI lab. And regarding our technology classes, so if I'll show you, in later on in the coming slides and all, the blueprint, the topics and the syllabus given by Cisco for CCI, and I'll also compare it with the CCNP and core. And if you are preparing for your written exam or let's say your CCNP and core exam, you will find that it will cover everything. So you need not prepare CCNP separately, pay for that. No. Along with CCI EI, you will be preparing yourself for your CCNP and core. Is that clear? Right? So we, prepare in such a way. What after that? So we are talking only mainly about the CCI AI track here. And one more thing about that, what we will be covering will be your written, what is that? Not written, wired exam. See, in CCI AI, what they have done over time, they have taken everything related to the wireless part because that is a big domain nowadays, right? And a handsome career also. So they have, taken the wireless content from here and they have created a different certification, different lab for that, CCI EI wireless, right? But yes, that also comes under the enterprise. So enterprise is kind of having two certification, two labs. One is your wired, which we don't say, like when we say IP, it is IPv4 by default. So when we say CCI EI, it is wired by default. If you need to separately go for wireless, that is a separate thing, CCI EI wireless, right? So that is the second thing. DevNet is like a totally different stream. So you can skip that part. But yes, they have one separate section or separate stream of courses or certification for development in networking side also. So I'm not covering, that below part in here, this one. But yes, they have that. Yeah. Any questions so far? This is what I was talking about. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
For the CCIE lab take that exam, you said I have to have an active NCORE. Does it has to? I heard it has to have like a year and a half in it or something. So I took mine like a couple of years ago. So probably like a year and a half ago. So I don't know if
It should
that's
be
enough.
before 3 years.
Okay,
So
just right
that,
before expiration, I can just take it.
yes, if you are, I cannot
Okay.
hear you properly, your voice is breaking, I guess. But if I can understand you, you are asking about the expiration date of your exam. Before 3 years, you can, go renew your same exam or go ahead for the higher exam.
Okay.
So you have
Thank
done
you.
it like
Mhm.
1.5 year before.
Yes.
So you have plenty of time. Yes, don't worry.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, good. So yeah, we are done with this slide also. If you'll go to cisco.com, you can find all these details, right? So these are screenshots from there only. All right, so this is the certification process I just explained, I guess. So first you need to get your encore, which is kind of the written for CCI. Then you need to go for your lab or practical exam. And if you're done with both, then you'll get your CCI number, right? So I think I need not to explain much about the encore part. So this is 2 hour exam, just MCQs and all web-based content, right? And immediately you are scored, right? But when you get for your lab, just give me a second, guys. Sorry, yeah, where I was. Yeah, the lab exam, right? So this is not 2 hours or 5 hours or 6 hours. It is your 1 8 hour exam, and which is divided into two parts, right? So if I think I have a slide here for that. Yeah, this one. So one is your design section, and then it is your deploy, operate, and optimize. So entire life cycle of a network, Cisco has taken into that into account, and they have said, okay, we are designing the CCA exam in such a way. Let's say you are one big organization and you want to start building your network. So you want to have, let's say, a team of engineers, and you are giving them this project. Okay, let's start working towards a network where I have this requirement, and just tell us what do you need, right? So this is what we need, and tell us what you need. So all together via all the formalities, the mails, the callings, and whatever not, you'll start talking about things first. So that is the design part. You'll give them HLD, LLD, and everything, and then you start deploying things, right? Once you agree on certain common parameters. So that is all the network design part, which maybe you are into for some time now. Then you'll get your devices, you'll do your initial configurations, whatever required ones are there. You'll deploy your devices, you'll start operating that network, right? So you'll build one network. So you'll, first of all, your major concern as always is to, get the network into fully operational state for once. And then on top of that, what you try to do, you try to make it better, faster, secure, and whatever you can add on top of that. So that is the optimization part. So what Cisco has done, they have said, okay, we are taking the exam in such a way that this will take for 3 hours. Okay, out of your 8 hours CCIE EI lab exam, first one will be your 3 hours design exam. So here, not as such any, lab questions will be there. Scenario based, the chats, the emails of, let's say, the employees and the managers and maybe the owner who want the network to be built, and they'll be explaining things. And out of those long chats and all, they'll be asking you some questions. Okay, based on these need, what do you suggest? Which feature of MSTP we should be going with? Which feature of BTP we should be selecting? Which feature of OSPF? Okay, what configuration OSPF would you think will be better? And BGP and MPLS. So it will be like that for first 3 hours. Then you'll have a break, and then you'll start your second 5 hours part, which is DOO, deploy, operate, and optimize. All right. So this is the entire 8 hour lab exam. And yeah, if I talk more about that, This design section, module one, if you'll see, it is scenario based, as I told you, and backward navigation is not, possible there, right? And yes, this is important. This progressive storyline, as I told you, that this is like a movie they built, right? They start with some introduction, then they start building up the story, then they get to the interval, then they, put some spice and all, and then they end at the climax. This is how they are, conducting this exam, right? 5 hours fixed, hands-on web. So there you can have the access for the, Cisco documents also in the second module, and your backward navigation is enabled, and your point will be shown there. So in total, it is one 8-hour exam. And why, this backward navigation, even if you'll find in your CCNP exam, you cannot go back once you have clicked next. But in this CCI second part, why it is enabled, you'll find one very interesting, reason for that. Because as we discussed, multiple things will be coming back and back again to the employees and to the engineers, and then they need to cross verify, cross refer to the points they already, because it is not one time process. If as a network engineer, if you are working for some time now, you know that it is a continuous learning and deploying and configuring, then learning, and this is a continuous feedback cycle that we have. So this is the same process or the same strategy they are using in the lab exam also. Any questions so far regarding the structure of your CCIE EI lab exam? Okay. Now let me show you the content quickly. So even if you see release notes, so release notes is where they say to you that, okay, this is what we had earlier and what we are having right now, and they will give you this side by side comparison also. So this is version 1.0 earlier, which was there. Now they are having some minor, not minor, I'll say some good changes in version 1.1. So let's see what they have right now. So they start with the network infrastructure part, which is your switching section in general, what we call that. And if you'll see the content, so there should be nothing new to you, right? But the depth of the concepts will be there in CCNA, CCNP. What you have gone through will be the basic stuff. Then maybe some more things will be there if you have your CCNP and all. But in here, we'll try to get into more and more depth, right? And then if you'll see, this network infrastructure part is 30%. So first it is your switched campus part, switching part, then it is your routing part, right? So if you see, we start from the basic concepts, then we start with the, what we can say, the advanced routing will start with very, basic. What is the basic part if you see? The static routing, the default routing. But the topics are basic, but we'll get into the depth of those also, right? Then we have, let's say, these concepts, and these are your, what should I say, regarding routing. Earlier studies, you have find these, one topic somewhere else, another topic somewhere else. But here, what they have done that, okay, you are getting to CCI, you know what you are doing, and then I'm putting these topics under the routing concept section, right? Just one section they are building, and under that they have put all the required. So what they are calling it, before starting your dynamic routing, you learn about these. So this is one way of, Cisco saying things. But what I generally do, I don't cover them, all of them in here when I'm teaching EIGRP, for example. So I teach EIGRP specific things. When I'll be teaching BGP and MPLS, then I'll teach the BGP and MPLS part. So this VRF section, for example, I cover in the MPLS. This section I cover in the MPLS, right? So this is how our technology classes go. Then we have separate sections for EIGRP, on OSPF, and on BGP. IPv6 is there for all the routing protocols, right? So BGP is there and multicasting is there. So this is your typical network infrastructure part, which is 30%. Switching and routing. Under routing, static and EIGRP, OSPF, and BGP, and multicast, of course. Then if you see after that, let me skip the second section and get to the third one. So this is your transport technologies and solution. So here we have what? MPLS, and we have GRE, and we have DMVPN. So we'll cover more than that actually, right? And what else do here? MPLS here they have mentioned like very less. VPN also they have mentioned very less, but I have more than that because things are needed in production, right? So as per feedback, I try to cover whatever is relevant for the lab exam plus your production environment. And see here what changes they have done. So earlier in your v1.0, you see, where should I show you that? See DM VPN. It was a more content in here, but they did what? They said, okay, when we are having CCI security full-fledged lab exam, why not put it there? Why, burden CCI enterprise people for all these details? No. So that's why you can see this has been removed. But what they have done is this. They have made the SDN part very powerful. Earlier, you can see SDN was not having that much SD-WAN, SDA, but now you can see they have added a lot of parts to this one. So yes, our second section, if you see the SDN, where we have two topics, what is there? One, your WAN automation, and then your enterprise and campus automation. So one is your Cisco SD-WAN, and then you have Cisco SDA. So first it is written SDA, but we generally start with the SD-WAN first, and then we'll go with the DNA center, DNAC, and the SDA part, list, VXLAN, and all. So this is the major flow of the technology classes. Then we have also this, so these are not much classes in here because these are kind of the same things which you are, already in done within your CCNP and all. And they are not covering and asking that much in the exam also, right? Python is there, yes, 15%. So we'll talk about Python also at the last, and we'll see what they expect us to be. And we'll see the scripting and making sense of the outputs and how they are relevant to us as network engineers. So yes, this is about the content of CCIE EI. Any questions so far?
Yeah, hi. Is there any book that you can suggest
Okay,
that I
okay.
can
Yes, yes. The
utilize
next
for
part is
the
about that. If there is no
okay.
other question regarding this one, because if you'll see here, that CCI has no standard book. Okay, I'll get to this later on. So there is no official book. But what we do, I have, when you'll be enrolled and all, you'll get a Google Classroom link, and there I have uploaded all these books: CCNP, CCI, basics and advanced both. I'll not say basic, but in comparison to some other books, they can be called basics in one way. Then your SD-WAN, your SDA. So we'll be providing everything, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So the latest content that you mentioned that SD-WAN they have kind of put in a lot of other additional topics. So
Yes.
those would be covered in these books as well, right?
These are the standard books, official certification guidebook. Yes. They have like more than what is mentioned in the version 1.1,
Oh, okay. Okay.
right? They are full-fledged courses in themselves, right? And then if you talk about like how the, passing score and all, so you can start your journey and we can worry about it later on. But yes, they have made it very complex, interestingly complex, I would say. So you need to pass both, and you need to pass both with a good margin, as Cisco expect. They haven't revealed everything exactly like how it should be. Out of 100, you need to get 95, 90 or not. So they have given some, indications, some highlights that okay, let's say in design you are getting what? Let's say this much percentage you are pass, but in do you fail. So if you fail one of them, then you fail. Simple as that, right? But if you, let's say, pass, but not with a good margin. See, you pass, but still you fail. So you need to pass and you need to pass with a good margin. So that is what they are suggesting us. So the cut score, total score, so that should be achieved. And regarding the time, you cannot add one exam's time to second one. So for example, if you are thinking that if I cover my first exam in 2 hours, so the can second be 6 hours? No. You can end before, but the time will not be, added into the second exam. Right? So this is how we are going to prepare. You are going to get the recordings for daily classes. You'll get the workbooks, as I told you, on the Google Classroom. I'll share the official books, plus the books and the notes and the lab guides I have created. You'll be getting those. Labs you'll be getting, and we'll be doing all the debugs and Varsha captures, for our technology classes. So that is one standard process used around the world for teaching technologies, right? So I think you know that. We do, and see, this is not a theory exam, this is a lab exam. So labs will be there, like on daily basis we'll be having 1 2 3, depending upon the length of the topic and the complexity of the topic, we'll be having some labs. So it is all about, and to you also, this is kind of a suggestion. If you are preparing in any way, anyhow, so keep your focus on the labs. Read something and lab it up, read something and test it. Right? Test it, verify it, configure it, verify it, get to the results, see what is going good, what is going, not in the way you expected, and see what you can do better and better and better. And then take help of the, technology classes, recordings, the books, and whatever can be helpful. So it is one long, arduous, but fruitful journey. You know that, right? So always have your eyes to the bullseye, the number. So some people have even done that. They have taken, that plaque that Cisco gives you, and they have their own name added to that, and they have wherever they are working or they are studying, and they kind of see that name, their own name with a number, and whatever keeps you motivated, right? Just go for it, because this is one long journey. These things we can, talk later on also. I think we not need not worry. And these are all common sense thing. So the main focus is going to be on the, technology classes. But yes, if you want to ask anything, you can ask anything. Whatever exam you are attempting, right? In any part of the world, in any of the domain, tech, non-tech, whatever. So these are some of the things that you always take care of, right? You don't want to spend more time, for example, on a problem which is getting you into what a wrong, bad mind state. So just quickly get out of that, cover some topics or questions which give you confidence, and then come back to later, and you'll find surprisingly that you remember that the concept which was not sticking earlier. So this is how, so just read something about how your brain and all the hormones work. So that there is, the one beautiful book, a non-tech book for CCI people. I'm forgetting the name of it. I'll share it with you also in the classroom. So once you start to feel burned out, right? So just read some pages of that book, and it will give you like things that you really you need at that moment of time. So that is one wonderful book. People have praised a lot, CCI aspirants, that book, right? Over time, very old classic book. So yes, that's all from my side for today. I hope it was helpful and I was able to answer some of your questions. If there is anything you want to ask, please ask me. It was just one intro session, and tomorrow we'll be having our first technology session. All right. Am I clear with everything? Can we say goodbye for today? And hopefully I'll see you guys tomorrow in the technology classes. And we'll get started with the routing part. First we'll do the routing, and at last we'll be doing the switching. Right?